Hey everyone, welcome to Reddit Readout. Today we are checking out Entitled Parents. Story 1. Mother binge watches series till midnight then complains about headache next morning. English is not my first language, if this belongs here, but I, 16F, am a college student and spend most of my time doing assignments and studies. My mother is a Sam and does most of the work around the house. For context, recently she is really into a series and started binge watching it throughout the day. I mean literally all the time I hear her laughing and watching that series. I have no problem with her watching it, but the problem started when after dinner she sits and watches the show till 1 AM at night. And then she wakes up at 6 for my younger brother's school. Then she complains she got a headache and will be angry at me that why can't I go to college myself. I can go to college myself. It's just a 10 minutes walk from my house, but she is very overprotective of us and won't let me go by myself. Then complained on why do I have college at such hour. I tried telling her that she should not watch the show after dinner and go to sleep so she won't have a headache in the morning, but she just ignored it and continued with her routine. Today she had a massive headache because she didn't slept well, obviously, and just was angry with me all day of everything I was doing, like I didn't wash the clothes on time or why am I taking so long to study. I just want to cry now but can't, as she will again scold me for crying. What to do? Story 2. My entitled mom, F, and my little sister, F, want me to make a website for them for free because they're family. So this story is still currently unraveling in front of my eyes, but here is what you need to know. Me, still the age of my parents' legal guardian, and sister, 9. My sister sings a lot and loves doing it, and I'm the computer guy who helps my mom when she's stuck on anything. I also make websites for people for a price. But a while back I made a YouTube channel for my sister for free because I was young and stupid. And my mom kept bugging me. She always picked my sister as her favorite. Fast forward 2 years. I'm now older and entitled mom is forcing me to upload all of my sister's singing videos and won't let me put in credit to my channel or pay me. So one day while I'm uploading one of sister's videos I show her my website web link and she's like okay whatever and shrugs this off, but of course, she needs to turn the conversation to my sister and told me to make a website for my sister or she would take away my PC for a month. I responded with, if you pay me like everyone else I will. Entitled mom gets pissed when I tell her she needs to pay and started her, what I call it, make my son feel bad so I can boss him around speech. Saying how I will never get a job because I'm stupid and autistic and never will be able to plan, so I just make the website for your sister. I start crying and she starts hitting me, so I tell her, no, I will not be caving into her abuse again. I also tell her if she won't be paying me for the YouTube channel I will also have to delete it too. My sister made $120 in DC preforming in front of people for 2 hours. Mom got all pissed and called me an autistic bitch who won't have anything in life. And that's where the story stands now. I'll update if anything happens. Edit/update, thanks for all that responded, it really helped. This will be a short update. So my mom linked her phone number to my Google account and now I need to get it unlinked without her knowing, before she gets home. I'll update when she gets home. Story 3. Part 2, Parents living with me for 5 years is over. Here's part 1 if you haven't read it. Yesterday I was able to go to the VA and speak with a social worker on everything that's been going on. I found out I can file an eviction notice without an attorney. Told him everything that I have on audio recordings. He recommended to file a no-contact order as well. I was able to get sleeping medication that I haven't had in 2 years and other meds that same day. It was so nice to speak with people that actually listen. As of today I still haven't heard from the attorney or APS. Guess the holidays or whatever. I got a new phone and ported over my old number. My mom was paying my phone and now I don't run the risk of her disconnecting my phone. Only other thing she is paying right now is YouTube TV. Still waiting on the indoor camera coming in the mail. It's delayed. Got new door locks to change once they're out. I'll record everything when I give them the notice of eviction, revoked power of attorney, give back the phone she bought for me and see how they react to it. I'll post it here. Thank you everyone for your suggestions and support. Edit. Some things I forgot to mention, I've purchased 2 iPad Pros for them in the last few years. The second one was to replace another one with a broken screen. Purchased a $3,000 MacBook Pro for them few years ago. I never asked anything from them for the gifts. Few years ago I needed a laptop and they bought me a $1,200 MacBook Air and had me pay them back with my yearly Alaska PFD. Alaskans get yearly profits from oil, $1,000 to rarely $3,000. I'm going to mention all this to the judge for the reason for eviction and for not paying rent/utilities. EDIT 2, Part 3, caught my dad admitting to fraud with my VA benefits today. Story 4. My mother low-key spoiled my wedding. So, there's a lot of context leading up to the drama which I'll do my best to sum up, but basically, me and my partner decided to have a child-free wedding and my brother and mother were absolutely horrified. Told me I was ripping the family apart etc. Ruined my engagement, the whole shebang. Fast forward a few months and my brother has largely moved on and my mother is trying her best but still has an occasional strop about it. Now, the day before my wedding all hell breaks loose. My other brother, who bless him is the only person who didn't upset me during the planning of the wedding, calls me and says he has COVID. Fuck. We have a number of vulnerable people coming and can't risk anyone getting ill. I'm really close to him and devastated he can't come. I call my mother in tears and instead of reassuring me that the wedding will still be lovely or anything like that she admits the wedding will be shit and is largely upset about all the food she's bought that will now go to waste. So I'm furious and we argue. She insinuates that everyone thinks less of me because of the whole child-free shit. She then essentially emotionally blackmails me into inviting my sister-in-law and young niece because if I don't she won't have anyone to talk to. I said I was glad I was going to become a member of a different family, not my finest moment admittedly but I'd reached the end of my tether. Skip to the evening, I'm heading to my mother's for the night with my maid of honor. I call my mother to let her know we're on our way and she's hammered she can barely string a sentence together. We arrive and I have to look after her, my mo makes us dinner, we have to collect the flowers without her and neither of us drive. I'm trying to sober her up. All the while she's phoning and messaging her friends telling them that my wedding is a disaster. Lovely. I'm so angry by this point I can barely keep it together. The wedding day arrives and, all things considered, was absolutely wonderful. My mother barely spoke to me and we haven't spoken properly since the wedding, about 3 weeks ago. No apology, nothing. The kicker is that her response to my brother when he said how hurt I am was to say we're both hurt. So there's a better chance of hell freezing over than her actually taking responsibility for her actions. I'm at a loss here in how to move forward. I don't want to speak to her first because I know she won't apologize but I don't think I can just brush this under the carpet. Am I overreacting? Update. Saw her for coffee today, very awkward conversation and no apology, called it after 30 minutes. Then had the below text exchange. Me. It hurts that you don't seem to think I'm deserving of an apology to be honest. Her, I know and it hurts that you think the same about me. Perhaps neither of us realize the depth of hurt that it's all caused. Me, I'm not sure what I did wrong, if you could tell me that would be helpful or we can't move past it. Her, I know you don't. I don't think you realized just how close to the edge I was that Friday both physically and mentally but I've put some actions in place to help me and hopefully they will kick in soon. I know we need to talk about it but I don't want to make things even worse. I'm not sure where we go from here but I hope and pray that we can get through this. Me, okay. It seems my mistake was not being psychic. Story 5. M pushes in front of my little girl to get to the disabled changing loo. In the UK we have a radar scheme, where disabled people have a key to access the disabled toilets. The problem with disabled toilets are that they become shared spaces, so in most cases they lump changing tables and cleaning equipment in there as well. My little girl tends to go out in front and open the door for me when I need the loo. So my little girl runs on ahead, and opens the door for me. Karen blanks her, steps around me and straight into the disabled loo with her child. I'm left standing there, fuming thinking WTF did she just do? Karen steps out after what seemed like an eternity and said I needed to change my child first, I didn't want to wait ages. I didn't say anything. I wish I had have said something there and then but couldn't think of anything. She left and went back to her table I presume. Story 6. My friend's entitled mother pushed me away from him. I 13M had a good friend M12 we were close since kindergarten he always talked to me and we just played video games and lost track of time and his mom comes and saying something along the lines of you never spend time with me you're always on the game with that stupid insert slur here I was just playing our game and got a kill I said oh hell yeah you suck bitch. His mom heard me and said what did that insert slur here say? He said oh hell yeah you suck bitch. She snatches the mic and tells me that God doesn't love me if I swear. I said okay, give him the mic back please we were playing. He gets the mic back so we're hanging out and goofing off, and I accidentally hit my knee on something and said that fucking hurt, she was out of the room making food, and we kept playing she had a strict rule no video games after 10:30 p.m. on Sunday or weekdays, minus Friday, which is fair. But if he stayed minutes on 5 minutes too long cause he lost track of time he got his video games taken away for 2 months. So it was Friday evening we're gaming out she said to him what do you want from takeout for dinner hon? He didn't hear her. So she yelled what would you want from takeout for dinner hon this time I heard and said yo bro your mom's calling you. He said ribs and french fries. She had another rule he was not allowed to play and eat. So we had to pause every meal. He gets his food we paused he ate we keep playing keep in mind it was Friday. One of the 2 days he's allowed on all night it's 10:30 she barges into his room rips his console out and I got a call from him I said hello? He said my mom ripped out my console cause I got a C in math class. Which I replied to with what is she strict about that? He said not usually. So we talked for an hour I hung up. Story 7. Stepmonster tried to kidnap me and my sister for Christmas. This happened in 2009, when I was 15 and my sister was 11. I honestly don't remember it well. I had to call my mother to fill me in on some details, and it helped a little. My parents got divorced when I was 10. My mother got primary custody, but we stayed with my father for about 3 days a week, sometimes more. They took turns celebrating the holidays with us. We'd spend them with one parent in 1 year, and with the other one the next. In March 2009, my father and his then-girlfriend Molly broke up after he confessed to cheating with the woman that eventually became SM. Years later, I found out that affair had been going on for almost 2 years by the time he told Molly. He introduced SM to us in May, on my birthday, actually, and they almost immediately announced their engagement. From that moment, she started trying to force us all to be a happy blended family, which usually meant forcing us to do everything she, or sometimes my stepbrother, wanted and pretending my mom wasn't in the picture. SM and my dad started pushing her to leave us with them a lot more often than my parents had previously agreed, but she thankfully wouldn't budge. We started getting ready for the holidays in November, and SM started talking about a ski resort, hotel? I don't know, it was 14 years ago, that she wanted to visit with us. It was a 3-hour car drive from where we lived and was clearly more suited for couples, younger children, or the elderly. Neither me or my sister actually wanted to go, but before we could say that, SM asked us when we'd be done with school so that she could book it for a 2-week trip during our winter break. I was happy to be the one to break it to her. We'd spent Christmas and New Year's Day with my father and Molly the year before, so it was my mom's turn to have us. My father and SM called my mother dozens of times to try to convince her to let them take us, insisting that SM was excited to spend Christmas with us and that the previous year's holidays didn't count because we'd spent them with Molly. My mom said no, as she'd already made plans, and the subject was dropped for a few weeks. Then, on our last day of school before winter break, SM picked me and my sister up from our schools. That was fine, we were supposed to spend a couple days with my father before the holidays. What wasn't fine was that the moment we got into her car, SM said, we're going to the ski resort. Surprise! She proceeded to tell us that they'd already packed our bags for us, and Dad would meet us there. I asked if my mom knew about this, and she said, sure, but I knew that was a lie. I also didn't believe her when she said we'd only be there for a couple of days and would be back before Christmas. I figured they'd booked the 2-week stay they wanted and would probably guilt trip us both into staying once their couple of days were up. I was terrified. I didn't have a phone, my mom thought I was still too young to have one, didn't trust SM, and I could see my sister was even more scared. I told SM we didn't want to go. She said, fine. Let's just pick step-brother up from school. We picked him up from school. SM said, okay, now let's go to the resort. I said, again, that we didn't want to go. She said, fine. Let's just find a gas station and fill up. That pattern repeated itself about 6 times over the next hour. Every time I said we didn't want to go, SM would make up an excuse and pretend to forget my plea. As we were about to leave town, my dad called SM. I heard them fight for a few minutes about something, and then she hung up. Stepbrother asked her what happened, but she didn't answer. Then, she said, I'm taking you kids to your mom's. She turned the car around and took us home. When we got there, my mom pulled us out of the car and screamed at SM to leave, which she did. My mom was hugging us and bawling as if she hadn't seen us in years. She didn't tell me the full story until a few days later. Basically, my mom called my dad in panic because he'd never told her we'd gotten home, which he always did whenever he picked us up from school. He was hoping she wouldn't call until we were already at the resort. My father knew that lying would do more harm than good, so he told her their plans. He tried to spin it around as something my sister wanted, but my mother didn't buy it. She told him that if SM didn't take us back to her place, she'd call the police. My father and SM took my stepbrother to the resort. For a few months after, they bragged about all the fun they had, and all the things me and my sister had missed. Stepbrother later confided in me that he actually hated it. He barely saw his mom while they were there, and he spent Christmas mostly alone in their room. SM called us both selfish for trying to ruin their holidays. My sister actually felt guilty for a while, and I had to reassure her. My mom didn't call the cops or press charges. At the time, she didn't know if what SM did would qualify as a crime, or if they'd actually help. She also feared that would ruin our relationship with my father, with whom she was still trying to stay on amicable terms. Years later, she told me she regretted not calling anyone. And that's the story of how I got my first phone. For some reason, I really hate this story. So much that I avoid talking about it. This text was actually on my drafts for almost a week. It's far from the worst thing SM has ever done, but it still pisses me off. I admit that writing it all down did help a little, though. That's all for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe.